We haven't made a cent.
Yeah, that's really the fatal flaw of the podcast.
We do it
the money.
for fun.
You got to basically be the Bernie Madoff of podcasts. Take the money and split.
I just hope I sell more tickets doing stand-up from it. I maybe there's money that I make out of the podcast that I don't see.
Go see Jim Jefferies at the Ontario Mills Improv. It's coming up June 3rd. Let me tell you guys something. Fucking hilarious. If you want to see, I mean, there's really, and I've said this before in the podcast, and we'll get right back to the courtroom.
Sure.
There are only this is not a racial thing, and you'll agree with me. There are only 6 white headliners making the rounds. It's like me, you, Saget. Every once in a while, Kevin Nealon gets back into the fold. Yeah. But it's pretty much become a Latin and a black.
Well, Rogan and Stanhope.
But Rogan's theaters, and Stanhope plays bars in Yuma.
Yeah.
You know.
Doing the theaters and stuff and doing the clubs to the level that sort of we and you do it. Yeah, there's not many white guys out there.
And it's like, if you guys don't come see us, we don't get asked back.
But it's that weird thing that people reference it as just another white guy when we're not even the majority anymore.
No, you go to improv.com and you can click on every city where there's an improv and look at the calendar and it's like Sugar Sammy. Now you have Indian guys. That's a new influx. You know what I mean? There's a guy in Dallas and Houston. He just runs Texas. His name is Sugar Sammy.
Yeah, I know Sugar Sammy. He used to be in Canada.
He's a fucking Indian guy Russell Peters.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, I had Sugar Sammy in here last week. La. He really sold every ticket there was, man. And I'm like, how are we doing? He goes, it's slow, Daddy. I'm not going to lie to you. It's a little slow this week.
You know when you go to Miami, anywhere in Florida, and you're not black or Mexican, and they're just like, we don't know how to sell tickets for you. And you're like, but I sell everywhere else.
Yeah, put me on the radio. Put me on the radio, and I'll tell people to come see me after telling anecdotes.
Yeah.
Don't complicate winning, you fucking putz. So go see Jim Jefferies, June 3rd, Ontario Improv the Inland Empire.
I don't think there's any white people mailing lists. I think there's just mailing.
Interesting.
You know what I mean?
Wow, I never thought of that. And we
never sell DVDs. They can target us very well.
We never sell DVDs in the parking lot of Ralph's either.
Yeah, they never see the name Smith and go, we know which column to put him in.
Wow, I never even thought of that.
I think that is a case. I don't know. Does that sound racist for me to say?
Well, if it's pragmatic, I really, and we've talked a lot about race on this podcast. We've redlined it a lot. I have a firm belief that if it's pragmatism that you're talking, what you said was a complete pragmatic view of why certain people are selling. And if people want to air you or me out about that's fucking racist, well then, you know what? Then fuck you. If you can't fucking talk like people about people, then how is anyone ever going to be equal? Do you know what I mean? If you're a waiter and you don't think black people tip very well and you say that, you're not a racist. You just had a whole shitload of black customers that didn't tip you.
That. I don't know if you know this, but the staff always said to you, I always act like a jerk when I get drunk or something like that, and I try not to get drunk. And then sometimes I think, maybe the staff hates me. But no, most staff at most comedy clubs really like me because my fans fucking tip, man.
Yeah, mine too.
And they're drunks.
Because they're white.
And they have to tip in comparison to how much they drink. And I'm Moneyball. I tell you, statistically, they're not looking at the right stats. If you just look at my figures, you have to look at other stats on me. The bar stats are unbelievable. I'm the alcoholicost guy. I sell drinks. I am a beer-selling machine.
Let's see how drunk we can get people to show up and be drunk in Ontario.
Is it hard? Do you ever get that one where the audience keep on bringing you shots, and by the second show I go to the management, I go, don't let them bring me shots on stage because I act like a fag if I don't drink them. I got to drink them. And I don't want to be halfway through a joke going, no, thank you, sorry, because I lose the audience a little bit. Don't let them buy me shots, right?
Yeah.
And so this club owner in Kansas, in the
band Kansas?
No, yeah. Stanford and
I'm
Sons,
confused.
the Glazier brothers. And instead of listening to me when I said, don't let them buy me shots, he turns to his staff and goes, Jim doesn't want any more shots. He doesn't want any more.
He says it over the intercom?
Yeah, he said, so when Jim orders a shot, say he likes vodka and give him a shot of water. Because they just want to keep selling drinks, right? So now I've got shots of water coming on stage. not only I'm lying now because I'm a bad actor, because now I'm taking shots and going, that's...
I don't even know vodka.
Yeah, and I'm thinking I should be passed out now, so I'm trying to act more drunk on stage. It's just a vicious cycle.
Did you realize, like, wow, that's been 11 shots of fake vodka, and you're like, so they were we're fucking in the courtroom, just staggering around. You go to reach for the stool, but you can't find it behind you, and the fucking count with the sword comes up. Did you have to actually act more? Did you act more drunk? Did you try?
I did, of course. I've been acting more drunk my whole career, to be honest with you, because there's sometimes I am really, really drunk on stage, and then there's sometimes I was playing it up a bit. I can go from a little bit drunk to more drunk. And now, like my new Edinburgh show, I'm calling Fully Functional because it's going to be the first time I've done the festival where I'm not wasted on stage because I've got things happening in my personal life where I want to clear myself up a bit more.
But when I watch Alcoholicost,
I was drunk on Alcoholicost,
right? And there was so much booze that I saw that they edited to make your pint match.
Yeah.
Because you would drink like 3/4 of it, reach for a full one, and then in the very next shot of the wide shot, it was down to like the 3/4 drank. Like that fucking editor tried to match your beer instead of like me believing. I
was drunk, and I swear to God, but I was wasted on Alcoholicost.
But you didn't watching it. I didn't think you were drunk for a moment.
No, and I swear to God, I wasn't. I covered it up pretty well because it was HBO and all that type of bullshit. I didn't want to fuck anything up. But I fucked up a lot of things in my career through alcohol. But on the other hand, the career's going fine.
Yeah, you're doing.
Like I don't know how much further I could have gone, but I've gone further than I thought I would go.
Would you agree that this is interesting? Would you agree? I don't want to say what that sounded like. What I'm about to say is really interesting. What a cunt. But no, but what you said isn't your career is great and stand-up wise. You can go to 3 continents and sell more tickets than I can sell in one. It's going fantastic. Would you agree that you could pretty much do drugs, be drunk? You just have to show up pretty much on time and everything's fine.
Yeah, I think...
As long as you're on time, they don't care what the fuck you do once you get there.
Doug Stanhope once said something to me where he goes, just as long as you don't pull your cock out. Is the one thing. Just as long as you don't get your cock out, you're fine.
Yeah?
Yeah, and I think that's pretty true, really.
Be on time with your cock in your pants.
Yeah, and I have gotten my cock out on occasions on stage.
I've done stand-up in my boxer shorts.
Yeah,
And then I found it oddly liberating. I was at the Comedy Works in Denver, and some lady said, what's with your mander pants? But apparently, my underwear was, my boxers were, coming up a little bit outside of my jeans.
Yeah.
And it was just one of those heckles that kind of stops you. Usually I just ignore all of them, or I'll go, no, be cool. I don't want you to get thrown out.
Yeah.
I appeal like I'm the nice guy.
Yeah.
And then if they keep going, I fucking light them up. But I just froze. It was just one of those things where I go, my what? She goes, what's with your mander pants? And I go, what the fuck are mander pants? And she goes, your underwear. They're like, fucking mander pants. So then I just took my pants off because I just had red boxers on.
Yeah.
And then I did my entire show in my boxers. And then I remember halfway through going, this feels way too great.
Yeah.
If I
you don't want to become that guy where every gig you do it.
But I wish I could. If there was a way I could go in my pajamas, I'd be pretty happy.
Look, I'm jealous. Tim Minchin does shows with no shoes on. And I think that's remarkable that someone can just do that. But when you said that what's with the Amanda Pants thing, there is, I don't know if I'm spilling the beans here, but audience members who want to heckle, I think they have to be clever, but if they really want to destroy a comic, it's very simple. They just have to yell something bad about the way you look or that you're not funny. If someone yells out, you're not funny, that does take you back. You go, oh, what? Right? Or if someone goes to me, you've gained weight, that'll crush me. Then I'm done. I'm done.
There's one word that I heard maybe twice earlier in my career, and it's the one that will just annihilate you. When you're just in the middle of a story, and there's a pause. Next. That is the fucking word.
I had a group of guys who sat in the front row of my gig once, and every time I said a joke, they all yawned in unison. And that
maybe they were sleepy.
Devastating, because the rest of the audience couldn't really see it as much. A few people around them heard it. And to me, it was just, so I'd tell a joke, and then you'd hear, and then you'd hear,
where was that?
That was in England.
I want those guys to come to my show.
That would have been in Nottingham or something in the Midlands. And I think that they were even fans, and they just sort of wanted to. They just wanted to catch me.
And people behind them, because their head's going up, thinks they're laughing.
Yeah.
But they're not.
One of the. I'm trying to think of the best heckle I ever heard. I think it was Andrew Maxwell, who I'm a big fan of, Irish comic. And if you don't know who Andrew Maxwell is, and you remember me getting on ecstasy on Opie and Anthony and fighting with the porn star, Andrew Maxwell was the other guy on ecstasy in the room, if you remember. That was like probably my most popular Opie and Anthony visit.
Don't you love going on their show?
I love it.
I fucking love those guys.
They were the first guys to support me. Before HBO, before anything, they were the first guys to have me on any medium in America.
When they were on NEW in New York, I went in the afternoon to promote, I think, like Caroline's or something, it was Gotham Comedy Club. And there was a woman on the counter in front of Opie getting her clit pierced. And I'm like, on the radio.
Yeah.
And A, that's not something you're used to seeing up close.
Yeah.
B, it's fucking radio. They could have just had nothing and said, here she goes. Like, that's what I've always, my wife will always go like, what is with radio and hot chicks? Like, don't they realize nobody can see them? Like, you go, hey, we got the Hooters girls in studio. Just say it.
Yeah, but it's
one has to be there.
Theater of the mind. These girls are hotter in my head. I think even like now that you can see photos on the internet of what happened is ruining it.
You're like, oh, that girl's, this is terrible.
Yeah. I think there was like, There was
porn stars on the radio.
The porn star said something to me on the radio, and she goes, "You smell, and you smell of booze." And I hadn't been. I was up. I was still on pills, just peeling off my head. Right? She goes, "You stink," and I sort of went, "I stink. You fuck for a living. Whose parents do you think are more disappointed?" And just the look of horror on her face.
You smell like cum.
Yeah. And
I don't brush my teeth with cock.
Yeah.
Or maybe, I don't know what you do.
I think something I said to her, I said, you're quite attractive. I did that like old line where I said, I'd eat your shit. You know, like I think even like Brian.
Do you remember who she was?
Brian off Jolie, something Jolie. And I think Brian off the Family.
Angelina Jolie.
Yeah, it was Angelina Jolie.
When she did.
So I think even Brian off the Family Guy said that line. I said, I would eat your shit. And she goes, oh, that sounds nice. And I went, it wouldn't be. I'm going to cut it out with a knife. Right? I was just nasty. I was horrible.
But no matter how horrible you were, she's going to leave and go pull a fucking train. Like, you're still the superior.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, none of what you said really bothered me, or I went, ooh.
Exactly. So this is why I've been sidetracked. So Andrew Maxwell, who is one of the funniest guys ever, and I've worked with him for years, and like one of these famous guys in Ireland and Europe, really famous guys.
Sure.
So Andrew Maxwell and me I can't remember. This is the best heckle I've ever heard. There's a comic called Miles Crawford, who's one of these guys who just doesn't really have any material and just works the clubs as a sort of just a warm-up guy. He doesn't really do jokes. He just sort of goes, who's up for fun? Hey, can I have a cheer from this side of the room?
Yeah.
Now, this guy's black, right?
Give yourselves a round of applause.
He's the whitest black guy on the planet.
How about a round of applause for all the men and women in our armed services?
Yeah. A lot of that stuff.
Fucking 10 minutes of applause.
He sort of wears like a colourful suit with and
he said he was black.
He's black, but he's like just white. Yeah. He's just a white guy. He's nothing, right?
You won't get the reference, but the listeners will. He's Tony Gwynn.
Right, okay. So anyway, he's obviously, as always, he's saying nothing on stage. He's walking around. So there's this fucking, he's just finding things to do. There's a cake box. Someone's having a birthday in the front row, right? And and I think it was Andrew Maxwell. I don't want to get Andrew in the shit if he didn't say it, but I think it was Andrew Maxwell. But he picks up the cake box and he goes, what's in the box? What's in the box? Ooh, I wonder what's in the box. And then Andrew yells out, your white soul. And it was just so surreal.
Wow. What that guy? When you're telling me what he said, I'm going. I would really like to go see this guy.
Yeah. Funny.
He's going to be opening for you at the Ontario Improv June 3rd.
Maxwell won't. No, but
Who does
he'll
open for
definitely
you?
be at the Edinburgh Festival. If you want to go see a big act at the Edinburgh Festival, see Andrew Maxwell.
Who does open for you when you do? Do you pick?
I take a few people. I got a couple. I got Jacob Suroff. I like Kevin Shea. I take a guy called Forrest Shaw when I'm over the other side. Colin Kane.
But you, yeah. So you have the same guys. It's a familiarity. Do you do a 3-man show or a 2-man show?
I normally do a 2-man. But I have a sort of pool of guys that I like in different parts of the country.
Like now I've been like swinging from the nuts of Ryan. I don't know if you know Ryan Sickler. Like
No.
I don't like that's the guy. Like let's just do 20 shows, 2-man show. You do 20, then I come up. Like the MC, the whole